What is going on, guys, and welcome back to part 5 of the cloud storage development series. Now today we're actually gonna go ahead and start working on the login system. So without further ado, let's actually get our terminal up. We're gonna make a new one, and first we need to actually can just use this one. First we need to change the Bootstrap version we're using. So by default, the Laravel project is using Bootstrap version 3, but we want to be using the latest one, which is version 4. So to do this, what we need to do is just npm install save Bootstrap. This will install the latest version. Okay, and now we just need to uninstall the old version. So npm uninstall save Bootstrap SaaS. Okay, so as you can see, there is an error message that popped up in the top right, and that is because the whole project is configured to use the old version, but we want to use the newer one. So we're gonna open up our project here, and first let me just check something. Okay, so first we're gonna go to resources, assets, and SaaS. This is where our CSS or SCSS is located. We're gonna open up this one, and actually let's go view syntax and find, where are you? CSS. There you go, that should work. Actually, no. Okay, so I guess this one will have to do for now. So here, as you can see, we are importing Bootstrap, but we're importing it from the older package, so Bootstrap SaaS. So what we need to do is first find this package, or the newer one. So we're gonna go into our project, node modules, and just type Bootstrap. Here it is. And as you can see, here's a folder SCSS that contains all of Bootstrap. So we're just going to do the same thing here. So Bootstrap, we're going to delete the SaaS part and just replace this with SCSS. There we go. So this should have fixed it. Oh, and variables. I'm just going to go in here, back to our project, resources, assets, SaaS, open up our variables and just empty them out. We're gonna be writing our own in there. And now for the JavaScript part, we can open up bootstrap.js and just change this require from Bootstrap SaaS to just Bootstrap. There we go, perfect. And now if we just check here, okay, we still have an error here, which says can't resolve popper.js. Now this is a package that is only required by the newer version of Bootstrap, so we need to install it separately. So we're gonna just type npm install save popper.js. Here we go. There we go, perfect. We got a successful build. So now everything is pretty much the same, except that we're using a newer version of Bootstrap. Okay, so next, we're gonna start writing our user controller. So for reference, we'll just go into our project, app, and open up the user. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we'll need this, but we also need to go into our project database migrations and open up the migration we created last time, so we have a reference of all the fields. Now let's create a user controller. Okay, so all controllers are located inside of the app folder, inside HTTP and controllers. So let's create a new one. We're gonna open up our terminal, clear it. Come on. There we go. And we're gonna say PHP artisan make controller. So this is a Laravel specific command that will actually go ahead and generate a new controller for us. And we're gonna call it user controller. There we go. And here it is. We're gonna open it up. So now we're gonna be writing 3 functions today: register, activate, and login. So let's just write them here. Public function register, and as a parameter we're going to be accepting a request. Name it request. There we go. Okay, so this is our register function. Now we need an activate. I can't fucking type. Again, yeah, no, we're not gonna need a request here. We just need a UID. There we go. And a public function login. Again, request. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna start filling these in a moment. First, I just want to set up the routes. So again, go to your project, routes, and we're gonna be working with API routes. So last time we already created this route group with the prefix version 1, and now in here we're gonna put all of our routes. For example, a post route. Actually, let's group these just to make it more organized. So another prefix user, and group that. There we go. And inside of here, a post route to register, and this is going to be user controller and register. So what we're doing here is telling Laravel that all routes, all API routes, so an API route for us would be localhost 8000/API. So anything that's /API is going to be handled within this file. So then /v1, that's the prefix here, v1, another prefix user, so /user, and then register, so register. So this is our API route that we just created. Now we need two more, a get for activate /UID. Now this, see, I put UID in curly brackets. This is because it's a parameter. This can literally be any value we want, and it will get passed into our user controller activate function as UID, as you can see here. So that's another great feature of Laravel. So user controller activate. So again, we're just telling Laravel whenever somebody visits this route, it should execute the function activate inside of user controller, which is this function. And the last one, another post route, and this one's going to be login, user controller login. Perfect. So I have these configured, and now we can just write our register function. So we're gonna need to do, use validator, which is a very useful class provided by Laravel for validating user input, since the parameters we're gonna be getting from the user can be malicious or might not be the type of data we want. So that's why. Okay, so let's create a validator. Come on. Validator make. We're gonna be. Come on. We're gonna be passing our request into the validator as the first parameter, since that's where the data we're validating is. And here we're gonna be putting an associative array. So the first parameter we're gonna need, let's check our table again. So first name, last name, email, and password. So first underscore name. Yeah, okay, great. What just happened? Okay, so first name, this is a required value, and it has to be a string. Yeah, I think that should be fine. And we need to do the same for last name, required, a string. There we go. By the way, if you want to know what all of these parameters here mean, you can just go to the Laravel documentation, scroll up to the top, and here, let's see, the basics and validation and available validation rules. You have pretty much all validation rules right here. Okay, so next one is email. So let's do that. So email is required, and it has to be a valid email. Next, we need our password. So password is also required, obviously, and it has to be a string of minimum length of 8, and it has to be confirmed, which essentially just tells Laravel that there has to be another field present called password underscore confirmation, and it has to match exactly this field. So we don't have to write a separate validation for the other one. So next is our status. We're not gonna need this UID access token. Okay, so that's all the data we need to validate. Here we go. And now we're just gonna say if validator fails, then we'll return this respond validation error. And inside here we're going to be passing our validator and errors. Now, one thing I just remembered is see here we're actually extending the controller, which is, if we go here, app HTTP controllers, which is this class right here. Now by default all controllers extend this class controller, but we want to extend the API controller, which doesn't exist yet, but we need to create it right now. So we're gonna do the same thing, make controller API controller. There we go. Okay, so we'll start with a respond function. So this is gonna be a protected function respond, which is going to take in data, which is going to be empty by default, a message, null by default, status code, response okay by default, and a status success by default. There we go. Okay, so let's build our response. So status code, shit. Message and data. There we go. And now we just return response JSON response. There we go. So what this function does, it basically takes in a whole bunch of parameters and basically generates a JSON response containing those parameters. But now this is just a basic function, so let's actually create more specific functions such as response success, validation error, unauthorized and such. So it's a lot easier for us to use. So another protected function. Actually, we first need another one. Respond with pagination. So this is going to be useful for retrieving or for responding with large amounts of data, because we don't want to return a whole bunch of data at once, because that's going to take a long time to load, but we instead want to paginate that data, so separate it into multiple pages so it's faster to load. So we need a length aware paginator. So we need data, which is going to be empty, and message, which is success. Okay. So data is going to be equal to array merge, and we're going to merge the data with the following array. So paginator, another array, total count, so we can get this information from the paginator itself. Then total pages is going to be equal to, we're gonna ceiling of, we're gonna take the ceiling of the paginate, oh wait, total divided by paginate per page. So the current page is gonna be paginate current page. The limit is gonna be paginate per page, and has more has more is paginate has more pages. There we go. And here we just need to return this respond with data and message. Okay, perfect. And now just a couple more functions. Protected function, response success, data and message, and we can return this respond. There we go. Okay, there we go. So this is our API controller. I'll probably leave a link to the code in the description down below, since this is just a trivial controller not doing nothing special. So you can just copy and paste this one. So let's get back to our user controller. Okay, so now this respond validation arrow call probably makes a bit more sense. We're basically calling this function right here, respond validation error, and we're passing in all the errors. So this is going to be the first parameter here, errors, which is then passed in as data. So there we go. This is our validation done. And now, since we've validated our data, oh wait, another thing. When validating email, we need to make sure there's only one account per email. As you can see here in the users table, we set the email as unique. So we again need to verify that. So here in email, we need another validation rule, which is unique and then users, which basically tells Laravel that it has to find a field called email inside of the table users. So this is this exact field, and that it has to be unique. So the value passed in here can't or shouldn't exist in the database. Otherwise, the validation obviously fails. Okay, so let's create a new user account then. So user equals user create. There we go. And now obviously we need to import or use app/user. Now make sure you're using backslashes here, otherwise it will not work, because you need to use backslashes, sorry. So here in the create, we need to just pass in an array, associative array. So first name, request first name, and just basically do the same thing for all validated fields. Last name, email, password is going to be a bit different, but whatever. So last name, email, and password, which again here we're going to do another use hash, which is a class provided by Laravel again, to hash and check passwords. So because we obviously don't want to store our passwords in plain text, as that would be very well, it wouldn't be really safe, right? So we're gonna do hash make and request password. So this is just gonna generate our hash. Perfect. And now we need a couple more things. So we filled out all of these. Now next is status. So status, by default all accounts will be inactive. There we go, because we obviously need to send an email to the user so they can activate their account. So that's what that's gonna take care of. The UID, we're just gonna generate a random UID or user ID. So str random, again a very nice helper function provided by Laravel to generate random strings, and this is going to be 25 characters long. And now after UID we need an access token, which we forgot to set to nullable. So we're just going to go back to our migration and just fix this. So we're going to add nullable here at the end, and token expires at, we're going to do the same thing. This just means that they can be set to null, which by default they can't be. So we need to run the migration again. Artisan migrate refresh. Now the migrate refresh artisan command will basically delete or drop all tables in our database and generate them again using the migrations. So there we go. it rolled back our users table and then migrated it again. So now these nullable calls actually have an effect. And yeah, this is it. The UID is the last one we actually need to change. Perfect. And this user create this should actually create the user inside of our database and return the created user. So let's leave that as it is for now. And now here we're gonna just write a comment, send activation email. So next time we actually need to make an email and actually send it. So that's what we'll do here. And now the only thing we need to do is return this respond created. Now we could just do this, just pass the user in here, but this would actually respond with the password. I mean, it would be hashed, but still, you know, it's not a good idea to send it out. And with the UID, which we also want to hide from the user because this is the only way to activate the account. And we obviously need to verify the user has access to the email. So what we'll do is create a new array right here, or an object actually. User data, which is going to be equal to a new standard class. So user data first name is going to be, or user first name, copy this, last name, email, and we can also pass the status. And here we go. Send a response with all the user data. There we go. So this is our registration function. Pretty small actually. Doesn't do anything special really. Just validates all the information. We create the user and store it in our database and then send it off. Now one thing we still need to do here in the API controller, I completely forgot to do something. Just give me a second. So we actually need to import two things here. So I'm going to do use illuminate http/response. There we go, and use illuminate pagination and length aware paginator. There we go. So that's it for the API controller. And here's the user controller. Yeah. So now we can actually test it out. So let's do that. To test it out, we need a piece of software called Postman, which is a very good and useful API testing utility or tool. So to install it on Ubuntu, we are gonna open up a new terminal and just basically copy these commands. There we go, we're gonna download it. Okay, there we go. So now if we open this up and type Postman, come on. Okay, there we go. Here is Postman. Okay, so when it asks you to log in or register, I mean, you can if you want, but you can just click on here, take me straight to the app. There we go. Close this, and I'll actually just go ahead and change the theme to the dark one because I like it a lot better. There we go. And now let's test our register route. So if we go back to our api.php routes, we can see, so first of all, it's an API route. So localhost 8000, this is our website or whatever, then /API, so that's our API route. And now the prefix version 1, so v1, prefix user, okay, user, and now register. There we go. And now if we press enter, what do we get? It's gonna take a bit. Yeah, we get a bunch of stuff here. If we click on preview, you can see it's an error message, and the error message says method not allowed HTTP exception. Now what does this mean? This basically means, as you can see here, we called route post. So this means we're only accepting post requests on this route. So if we go back to Postman here, all we need to do here is change it from get to post. Here we go, click on send again, and we again didn't get, we again got an error, sorry. Okay, yeah, my bad. If we go back to user controller, I forgot to do this. So we can't pass just the request, but we need to call the all function on it, or method, because the validator make function only accepts arrays, not objects. There we go. And here it is. So this is actually a response generated by our API. Now, as you can see, it says validation error, and here are all the errors for the specific fields. So the first name field is required, the last name field is required, the email field is required, and the password field is required. Now this was generated by this function call because obviously the validation failed. So how do we pass all of these parameters in? So let's go back to Postman, click on body, and this is where we enter all of our information. So, oops, come on. First name, so I don't know, or whatever. Come on, what? Last name, Smith, whatever. His email. Doesn't really matter at this point since we're not sending emails yet. And the password is gonna be test12345. There we go. Send. And now we're again gonna get an error. Here we go. Oh, weird. Oh yeah, because, okay. So we're getting a could not find driver. I thought we fixed that last time. Let's see. Installing MySQL again for PHP might help. No, but we already installed it. What? Huh. Now this is odd. Let's try and restart our server. Okay, there we go. So we just had to restart the server. Weird. And yeah, as you can see, we get another error. The password confirmation does not match. Now this means that we need another field here, password underscore confirmation, and if we just put in some random shit, the response is going to be again that it doesn't match, because these two need to match, obviously. So there we go, send, give it a bit, and another error. Here we go. So mass assignment exception. Now this is another thing we haven't done yet. See how we're using the create function here. So user create, and we're passing in all of this information. Well, by default, Laravel prevents you from doing this. You need to specifically tell it which parameters you can set when calling the create method. So we're gonna open up our user model, which is empty for now, but now we need to add basically a whitelist of all fields we want to allow. So protected, and it's going to be called fillable, and it's an array. So this is an array Laravel will look for, and if it finds it, these will be the accepted fields in the when using the create method. So we need first name, we need last name, email, password, status, and UID. I think these are all. Let's just check here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, these are all. There we go. Let's go back to Postman, send it, and now we get a 201 created response, which is exactly what we're looking for. And under data, you can see we got the first name, last name, email, and status, which is inactive for now. And if we connect to our database, there we go, to use cloud storage, show or just select everything from users. Here we go. This is the user record that just got created through that API call. As you can see, the password is nicely hashed, so it's basically useless to anyone who breaks into the database. Here's the UID, which we can't use just yet. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So today we actually just had time to write the register function. I feel like the video is going to be way too long again if I write the other two as well. So we're going to leave these for next time. So yeah, this is it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure to press that like button. If you didn't, well, dislike it, whatever. If you have any suggestions as to how I should improve the videos, or if you have any problems with setting everything up, leave a comment down below. And if you want to see more of videos like these, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.